Okay, welcome. We are in our live in our Nite Barcelona. We are with great speakers today. I want to invite all of you to stay with us at this point. So one question, I have to share the screen right now. So I need some technical support for that. Okay, this, perfect. Well, so as a few words about our Nite Barcelona, we are part of this great network of other groups around the world. As you know, our Nites from US to Japan, Europe, all around the world. So this is only a few slides I will show you to introduce. We are members from the real life, and we are part of this ecosystem of professional companies and experts in these technologies. Of course, we are present in 3 events around the world every year in US, Asia, and Europe. You can attend to this whenever you need, contact with us, and you can get some benefits for this. Also, we have some podcasts where you can get more information from experts, and the agenda in our life is perfect to catch all the trends in this technology. So we have also the AWI Academy, when you can learn from experts the best of these technologies. And that's it. So now we can start this meeting. We have some let me stop sharing. Perfect. So we are here with Andy, Robin, and Jimena. Welcome.
Please. Thank you, Isidro. Welcome.
Hey there. I really appreciate your contribution to this meeting. So we are now in Barcelona at the end of this special meeting, the Mobile World Congress, that has been for 4 days. Today is the last, so we can get a lot of information and conclusions from the last announcements related to the metaverses. Okay, so at this point, we can start asking what has been your experience or your best announcements you catch from this event. For example, if you want to do a short introduction, please, each of you. Jimena, for example.
Okay,
please.
Sure.
Oh.
I have a few slides here to introduce my company. Well, I work at Visyon. Visyon is an immersive creative company based here in Barcelona. Well, Visyon has been in the forefront of innovation in the XR technology for a while now. And we develop XR technologies and projects for different kinds of companies. And now are very focused in the metaverse. Our last big project was MetaHype with Cupra, the automotive brand, and we are very proud of it. My background is basically in mass media and communications. I study a concentration in audiovisual arts. Then I started in the VR world as a VR specialist. And now I'm a senior creative at Visyon, where I work in different kinds of projects related with the XR world, from VR applications to immersive platforms like MetaHype. And also, a very important thing to say is that Visyon is part of Media Pro Group, a very important group here in Europe. So also we're very proud to work with the different parts of the group in the creation of events and big production. We'll also work a lot in virtual production, which is also very exciting for us, and it's part of one of our main products and services, basically. We can hear you, Isidro. You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Jimena. Now, Andy, please.
Sure. All right, let me share my screen as well. There we go. Yeah, so my name is Andy Gstoll. I run a company called Mixed Reality IO, and essentially we've been building the Metaverse since 2008. So been involved in everything AR, VR, and 3D. Well, obviously starting with Wikitude back in the day, and for the past 5 years or so, I've been working with these partners and clients that you see here on the right-hand side. And as you will notice, there's both large corporations as well as a bunch of smaller startups, but very relevant startups that I work with. So I like to basically work with entities across the whole spectrum to keep it exciting. In terms of our service portfolio, let me just skip over to the next one here, is we do consulting, we do strategy development, we support basically those clients and partners wherever the help is needed. So obviously with my strong marketing and go-to-market background, that's the area that I like to focus on when it comes to the consulting part of the services. We do also software development. In other words, we actually build things. So, prototypes or MVPs, R&D, we do research, and lots of web AR, I must say, in recent times because of the developments on that end. We've been focusing a lot on that. But we also build apps. We build social media effects and filters and things of that nature. And then we do lots of 3D model creation and optimization. As many of you know, the 3D space is very fragmented, so we have gained lots of experience on optimizing for different platforms. We've also done a bunch of photogrammetry, so if you needed help in that area, that's also something that we know how to do. And then finally, I do lots of workshops and courses. I also teach here at the local university. I have a course that I call Mixed Reality 101. So I basically run through a very long presentation where I talk about everything AR, VR, the software side of things, the hardware side of things, what the big players are doing. And this is not only good for students, this presentation, but it's also very interesting for companies who are just getting introduced to the technology and who are asking themselves, what can I do with this technology? How is it relevant for me or for my company? Really looking forward to this discussion, and back to you, Isidro.
Thank you, Andy. So we know from a lot of years ago. So we were presenting the Mobile World Congress 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah, long time. And here we are, back again, yeah?
Okay, Robin, please, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, happy to do this. To do that. Hi, my name is Robin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ikinelab. We do immersive experiences around video and streaming. So I am sharing my screen, and here we go. This is a quick, overview about some projects we've done in the past. So we've built a platform which enables augmented reality experience that are in sync with TV and streaming content. And here are some of the projects we've done in the past. It was global projects around storytelling with customers like Red Bull and Google, use case around commerce in South Korea with our customer LGU Plus, and interactive kids entertainment shows with Nickelodeon, for example. So right now, about 75% of our customers are telco operators. So we have a fairly big footprint in the telco space, and the rest is brands such as Red Bull or Adidas. And we are very excited to be here today and to talk about what the Mobile World Congress kind of brought to the metaverse in news.
Okay, thank you, Robin. So I think you have been there in the Mobile World Congress. So probably you have the most close point of view from your own experience on what you see and what you hear on that point, no? So to start, we can ask to each of you, which could be for you the most interesting announcement in the Mobile World Congress about the metaverses. So as we have here more about Meta, of course, but some of the greatest companies has announced, especially for this event, they are starting doing great projects in their own metaverses or maybe in collaboration with others, no, with third parties. So, for example, Robin, can you tell us maybe your experience or your approach?
Yep. Yeah. So I think the most one of the most exciting things that I saw is the overall excitement and commitment by big brands. You know, whether it's Qualcomm or some telco carriers, which are partnering up with really big brands to kind of create focus groups and task forces around exploring metaverse applications. I think that's really good to see, because it also, not just that it creates a lot of visibility for the topic, but it also finally, you know, kind of accelerates, because there's going to be funding available to really kind of build those use cases. Because I feel like over the last years, one of the things that was missing most to really drive the growth of the ecosystem was this kind of funding support by big corporations. And I think this is what Mobile World Congress really showed, that there is now a serious commitment by large companies.
For me, for example, the fact that Qualcomm is announcing this partnership with TikTok, it's very interesting. Basically, because, well, as we know, TikTok has been one of the most amazing phenomenon of the last years, especially regarding the younger generations. And sometimes when we talk about the metaverse, I think there's a lot of people thinking about the big brands and thinking about the technological advances related to the topic. But sometimes for me, it's more interesting study the communities and the way they shape this world. So for me, the fact that Qualcomm is doing this movement and doing this partnership with TikTok, it's a very intelligent move, and I would like to see what's going to happen in the future regarding this kind of alliances.
Yeah, maybe just to re-emphasize a little bit also on the point that Robin made in terms of, like, you know, the number of companies really getting into it, and that we're not only just seeing, I mean, I remember, you know, many years ago, it was very rare to see any sort of you know, large corporations, you know, making a big splash about augmented reality, for example, or virtual reality. And now it seems that you know, everybody is trying to get in on the game. Everybody's trying to find an angle as to how they can use that tagline, you know, the metaverse in their next announcement. So I mean, no surprises obviously there from Qualcomm, because I mean, this is what they do. I mean, they focus very much on it and have been doing so for quite some time. But there were also some companies that were a bit maybe a bit more surprising in terms of you know, them coming out. I saw an article. I haven't actually seen the keynote or the announcement on stage, but I saw an article on Barcelona, the football club in Spain, and obviously everybody in Europe. I mean, we all know who FC Barcelona is. I'm not sure if anyone is listening in from the United States or elsewhere, but you know, Barcelona is looking, you know, very deeply into the NFT space and how they can use NFTs, you know, to serve their fan base and to create you know, value you know, to their fan base, and also obviously to monetize and generate additional revenue through these streams. And I was reading also that they're already doing a little bit of virtual reality in stadiums. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen that. Maybe you guys can chime in if you've seen that. experience, but I thought that was pretty cool that FC Barcelona, that among many other clubs, is joining in and seeing an opportunity. Some of you may know what's it called, the NBA shot. So what's it called?
Top Shot.
Yeah, Top Shot, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's been going off for the past year or so, and that's been huge. So it's good to see that not only the big NBA with lots of money is getting into it, but also clubs in the leading clubs here in Europe are joining in as well. So I find that really interesting, that we're seeing football clubs, entertainment focused businesses coming in and trying to figure out what they can do with these new technologies.
Yeah, well, a project that's very related to this one is this Sorare, which is a fantasy game, and Gerard Piqué, the Football Club Barcelona player, is one of their ambassadors. So it's very interesting because it seems like this fever of this idea of entering into the NFT world is starting with the players, and then the clubs are like following this idea.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, of course. At the end, the young generations and also the fans from the clubs, the people will push this kind of technology, is thanks to this for the users, made by users at the end. The metaverses needs from this concept. So the question is about the technology. Now seems it's ready for that. So that's the question. The Mobile World Congress is the point to put in common all these companies, of course, and this is when the big alliances can be made. And I think this year has been a big opportunity because everything starts right now, and probably this could be one of the most interesting things, the point of view from the companies and how the user is inside this project future.
Speaking of alliances, I think Jimena, you already mentioned it at the beginning, but the partnership between Meta and Telefonica, what exactly does that entail? I think Meta was actually made some announcements, I guess, that they are saying that they can't do this alone and that they need partners. But what exactly did they announce? Does anyone know? Do you guys have details on this?
I think the alliance is very focused on creating like training or workforce that can be part of this kind of projects. I think what they're trying to do is creating like a center focusing on that's what I understood from the information I was reading.
Yeah, they announced a hub place.
It's like a hub, an innovation center. Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw that, which is also in partnership with their incubation arm, which is called Vira, and they want to run this really across all the Vira studios or hubs. They have like 7 in the world. One is actually in Munich, where also we're part of. I think this is like, Telefonica wasn't like always, at least for the German market, not very visible for XR technologies as a provider. I think Vodafone or Deutsche Telekom have been much more present in that sense, more visibility. But I think it's super exciting that they also now taking this first step. And it was actually it was in one of the in the keynotes where the CTO announced this partnership and this new initiative. So there's also a lot of support and I guess also funding going into this space. So again, I think what we're seeing right now is the fact that a lot of companies have been really maybe we're a little bit laid back and we're like, we'll let the developers figure out, how this works. And now they see that it requires much more money to develop that, and this kind of funding is for sure also helpful.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There's another announcement. The Viverse a platform from HTC, right? And it seems like another initiative very similar to Meta's Horizon ecosystem, right? What I find interesting here is the fact that he's trying to attract partnerships from different brands to create this huge ecosystem.
Have you guys seen the phone that apparently there was a headline that says that some kind of metaverse phone is coming out? Is that for real, or, I mean, from HTC? No. I mean, they have the Exodus line, right?
I haven't seen that one, but
there are some proposals and ideas about creating devices that can connect securely with transactions with an NFT, with crypto coins. This kind of cell phones are trying to connect with these metaverses and business platforms to make transactions. This is the first approach I've seen to this world from the device point of view.
Oh wow! Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah, probably Viverse, the concept from HTC. It's interesting because the only thing everybody can perceive is that every big company tries to make their own metaverse.
Yeah.
This is something it's difficult to make all in the same place, to place everybody in the same place, but Viverse probably comes from an ecosystem of users that likes this concept. Probably this can push these Viverse to the next level because they have already the public, no? Meta also, but probably the winner, as we have seen years in the virtual world, no, has been very has not focused in a brand. A lot of companies has been playing in this game. So probably in metaverses will happen the same. No, the question is how to connect your own identity, as a digital avatar. The concept of the avatar as you be present in these metaverses. How you can move from one metaverse to another and be recognized and keep your identity as the same, in all these worlds. This is maybe another.
Yeah, well, the concept of interoperability, basically, but we need a lot of development to generate like the technological base to get there, and also I guess that we need a lot of agreements that need to be made in order to get to that point. I don't know if it's even possible in the future that these people decide to join to create something bigger altogether, and because everybody wants to create their own.
Yeah, I think this is why also the concept about having this somewhat open is so intriguing to many people, like seeing this as an opportunity to really create an open ecosystem with a lot of decentralization. I think this is what a lot of people are hoping for from this type of application. This is a great point, identity or self-representation. I think this is where I think Andy mentioned it earlier, where NFTs might play a big role because that is something that which is decentralized per se, so you can kind of carry it from one thing to the other. So really interesting. And when I went to the booth of SK Telecom, which is South Korean telecom, the whole booth was just about their metaverse platform, which is called IFland. And there was literally nothing else but about this. There was an area where you could put on some I think it was the Oculus, and then be like a pop star and have like a nice stage around you, and then they had VR roller coaster where you were able to ride virtually. So their whole kind of booth was really about this topic. So I think this is, again, a very interesting thing to see, because, you know, there's like Deutsche Telekom and Telefonica, they all have the booth and they talk about 5G and sustainability, and SKT was really standing out with this, of course, attracting a lot of people who wanted to go for a roller coaster ride. But I think it's really interesting to see how also this topic plays a bigger role with, you know, depending on the company, but it's definitely, you couldn't go to any booth where, you know, Metaverse was not a topic in some way.
Just a quick question on that. That's super interesting. I also saw the images of the roller coaster of the mixed reality experience. But what was your impression? I mean, what is SK Telecom thinking, or what was your impression? Like, why are they doing it, and what are they trying to build? What business opportunity, you know, especially for a company in South Korea, is it different? Like, what they're aiming for, or what their end goal is, or any idea?
I mean, I think, you know, South Korean market is obviously a market that is very much evolved if it comes to this type of use cases and applications. The way IFland is positioned is like an operator metaverse. So, you know, speaking about fragmentation, you know, is it like do you want to have an own metaverse for each operator, or what is the end game here, right? So I think the approach is very bold, and I think it will also create a lot of thought leader opportunities for them, especially in regards to partnerships. They have done, you know, deals with, or like partnerships with like really big companies, like I think they did a piece on Coldplay with BTS and like live concerts and virtual concerts, like really amazing stuff. I think, however, what the long-term goal might be is, feels like, I don't know how many metaverses someone like me or you or anybody in this world might need, right? Maybe it's just one decentralized place. I don't know. It's hard to predict.
Yeah, it's complicated. And also I think that at one point, both models have to exist together, because it's impossible that you can establish from the beginning a decentralized system that everybody will accept. So I think like we will have like different stages, and maybe for a long time, both ideas will live together.
And maybe also another piece of, another topic rather, you know, in terms of identity and in terms of avatars and being yourself. I mean, you guys touched on that already a little bit, but did you guys see anything on the floor, on the exhibition floor, that was pertaining to any sort of, I don't know, topic that was related to identity? I mean, were there companies that were offering maybe some kind of platform for avatar creation, or was there any kind of interoperability claims for any sort of identities that you would have going from one metaverse to the other? Did you see any companies addressing any of this?
Yeah, there are some companies that are developing 3D avatars for across platforms. I've seen one called Ready Player Me, where you can create your own 3D avatar and you can use it in different platforms. And as this, there are several companies that has seen in this an opportunity to develop a concept of company. No, this is another thing. The ecosystem of companies that appears with the metaverse, not only the creators, just the third-party companies that create. For example, everything you need for the metaverse, you must buy. No, then other companies offer products you can get from the metaverse, and you must pay for that. No, so then a second digital commerce appears inside this world. So this is another concept we need to think on.
Sure. No, I mean, Ready Player Me has, I mean, they've obviously been quite, I would say, quite successful ramping up, you know, partners and platforms that adopt their technology. So I think that's a great development, you know, to see that we see, you know, the ability to kind of, you know, take your identity from one place to another. But I was just curious. I mean, I think this is only the very beginning, and also with Meta obviously having their own avatar system, you know, they're going to be, I mean, they pushed it across their entities and their apps already. I think it was a month ago or whenever it was. But I think there's still so much room for that sort of thing to develop. And that's why I was just curious if any of the big companies made any claims in that regard also. But anyway, yeah, sorry, Isidro, you were saying.
Well, another thing is, as Robin said, the company's identity, not only the individual company, our own, but the brands, how brands are identified in these metaverses. No? This is another question.
Yeah.
As Robin shared with us the concept of brand-verse. No?
No, I did.
You did.
Yeah, well, this is a concept that is basically the name that we use to identify the virtual platforms that we offer and create for our clients, but also it's a way to identify the whole strategy that we design for them into the virtual platforms. A brand versus is basically the identity of a brand inside the metaverse. That could be like the way to explain it or to define it. And when we approach our clients, the first thing we need to know is, well, what's their main goal or purpose with this kind of action. So we design from virtual worlds like Meta Hype to events, to specific events in the different existing platforms, the third-party platforms, the Decentraland, the Sandbox, Roblox. Those are the ones that we look at and analyze to offer experiences, because if we have to do a comparison between the Web 2.0 and the Web 3, for us, the presence inside these third-party platforms is as important of the presence in social media in the Web 2.0. Each platform has a different community, a different target, different functionalities, and also social media. So depending on your own strategy as a brand, we will offer you to do one thing or another and to enter into a platform or create your own. It depends on what's your purpose as a brand. If you want to create brand awareness, if you want to improve your internal processes and you want to digitalize your processes as a company, depending on your purposes, we create a strategy, and yeah, that's basically why we created this concept of brandverse. I don't know what's the origin. I think it was invented by someone else, but this is how we decided to use it, because we don't want to keep saying that we create metaverses for brands, because we consider that the metaverse is just one concept. It's the iteration of internet. It should be just one thing. And then these worlds that are connected inside this big ecosystem, for us, they're virtual platforms, or virtual worlds, or brand versus if they're created by a single brand or group, right? Just try to find terms to explain this to our clients, because we think it's very important, especially when people is not familiar with the XR world or the metaverse world. It's necessary to find words to explain this in a better way. So yeah, that's the origin.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually have one quick thought on that. I mean, you mentioned that when you work with your clients, that you have to choose, or basically your clients have to choose between all these different platforms that are out there. And I find, I have a, very similar experience also with my clients, because they, oftentimes are unsure as to, which platform should they get into, and sometimes, it obviously it depends on what they want to achieve. But I also recall, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when AOL was an internet service provider, and at that time you would also have to choose, like, who are you with? Are you with AOL, or what's your internet service provider? And now, of course, that's not a question that anybody is asking anymore, because you just get on the internet, through whatever unknown service that you have locally, or maybe or even nationally or whatever. But the other thing is, of course, it's so easy to build, a brand versus nowadays. There's lots of platforms out there, obviously, that you can white label, or that you can just kind of, use to build these things. But then when you do so, then you don't have any traffic, you don't have any, audiences that you can tap into. So that obviously is the biggest question at all times. Like, what is your expectation, and what is your expectation on the return on the investment? Do you want it immediately, or do you want to build something of your own, or do you, and everybody's sort of like in the middle of all these bits and pieces, and it's hard to put them together according to what the client wants and what the brand wants. So Robin, I'm curious, like, how do you guide your clients, when they ask themselves, like, how can we use your technology? How do you guide them to make the right choice?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most open questions that we typically ask, because in many cases they are not very well familiar with the AR space, with the XR space. So it's really also some education that you have to do. What is possible, what's not, where are the limitations for web-based AR, for example? I mean, there's huge progress that was made over the last couple of years in regards to what you can do within a web browser on your mobile phone, but it's gonna be it's gonna have some limitations compared to application-based solutions, right? So I think it's a lot about educating them and trying to identify what their goals are, and as long as you're able to manage that, it also kind of results in kind of expectation. What do you expect from this result? I think that's also what Jimena said, like, what do you want to accomplish with this? So when we look at brands, and luckily, we've been working with a lot of big brands, mostly telcos. I think, we've seen over the last 12-18 months that their biggest focus was 5G. What can we do with 5G? Is there anything specific that we can do if we use your technology? That was one focus point. Now I think it's really much broader. It's not just about 5G, because in most developed countries, 5G was already rolled out. So it's not gonna be the super hot topic anymore. So now they're looking at other things, and that's why I think this whole Metaverse thing makes a lot of sense, because it's not just building on top of the 5G infrastructure that they have been rolling out for the last 12 months or 1.5 years, but it's really about adding a service layer on top of that. So it's not just the infrastructure that you provide, it's a service layer that essentially gives you a much broader application for the underlying technology. So I think it's kind of also like a give and take relationship. On one hand, of course, we need to guide them about XR. On the other hand, we need to understand, like, what are their objectives, what are they trying to accomplish with that.
Completely.
Right, I was reading more about the Meta and Telefonica alliance for the laboratory. They provide to developers 5G technology to test what they do. So this is probably one of the needs for the companies, to be possible to test what they develop. No, that's important that these alliances make this possible. No?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, there was one more headline that I saw. Samsung's CEO hints at the upcoming Metaverse device. So I guess I don't know if there's more details anywhere to be found or anything to be seen on the exhibition floor. But I don't know. I guess Samsung is back in the game after they kind of dropped the Gear VR. I don't know, what is it, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And did you guys see anything? I mean, I think it was just a mentioned by the CEO, huh?
So I didn't see anything specific. Of course, you know, a lot of Samsung presence around the Galaxy flagship phones, and you know what they, what kind of processing they can do. I'm frankly speaking, I'm not surprised by that, because in the end, you know, Samsung has a history of being in the hardware space, and you know, they dominate mobile phones. They have a huge footprint in TVs. So, you know, what is the next form factor for entertainment? It is going to be some sort of HMD. So, yeah, I think something that was to be expected. I'm, however, kind of, yeah, excited about the timing, because I really believe that in the next, let's say, 9 to 12 months, we're going to see a lot of things happening in this space. So, yeah, really excited for that.
The only news regarding the metaverse and connected with Samsung is the fact that they created their own space in the central and
Yeah.
but I haven't seen anything else about it.
Yeah, I checked that out also a couple of months ago, I think they came out with this. Actually, when I looked at it, it was empty. But obviously this is, well, hopefully this is just, you know, everybody's tapping the waters and everybody's trying something and creating something to make, you know, to gain some experience. But I'm so glad to see that, you know, that it's just across the board. Everybody's making their experiences now, and it seems like, you know, everything is coming together now. So I'm very excited about that too, like you say, Robin.
Excellent, because at first, if there is not enough resources and technology that supports this technology, it doesn't go forward. So that's the first step, no? The 5G and the persistence of the signal, everything must go fast, because you are watching in a headset, probably the first steps, and you need high resolution 4K, and everything must go fast, no? So this is important, no? We need better technologies, and they are growing up for sure. Okay, then.
Yeah. And just one comment to that, and that is why I also believe or think that the initiative by Qualcomm is like such a good thing, because you know what they're trying to do is basically create one developer layer or software layer on top of their chipset, which is, you know, if we think about Android and when you try to develop a mobile app for Android, even, you know, because it's so fragmented, it's sometimes really not easy to provide a consistent user experience across devices. And if we think about a completely new form factor like HMDs, you know, it's going to be even more difficult, because you're going to have, you know, different types of sensors. Some might have a LiDAR sensor, some might not. Some have different types of resolution displays. And so if we think about this, and we are at the time where we can still make this right in a way that, you know, in the future, we have not all those pain points that right now a lot of developers have when they try to deploy application cross-platform. So that's, I think, a really nice and smart move by Qualcomm, actually.
I don't know exactly the technical elements of this, because I come from the creative side of the production part, but in terms of standardizing processes, I think this is also a great improvement, right? In the fact that this could be helpful in terms of trying to create standards for interoperability So yeah, that's what I can conclude from this, from my creative point of view.
Yeah, even for your role as a creative person, you have to think about a consistent user experience across platforms. So you don't want to make a compromise where it's like, oh, but if I don't have this kind of technical capabilities, then it makes it much worse. You have to think about, okay, this is kind of the basic experience. And then, for example, if one device has perfect hand tracking, you use your hands and kind of adopt the UI to fit to that. And then if some device doesn't have hand tracking, then you have maybe a controller or attached phone. And then, it makes it so much more simple from a creative standpoint and user experience standpoint, because you can just define that in advance. So I think this is what that might solve, what they might try to solve.
Right.
Okay, great discussion today. So something else to finish is about asking to you, which projects are you done recently in this direction, in metaverses? You can introduce if you have been doing some. For example, Jimena, you want to present?
Yeah, well, we've been working. Well, the release it's gonna be in June, but we announced. Well, Cupra announced MetaHype, which is a platform in which we've been working during the last year. And MetaHype is a social platform for interaction, cooperation, and also the idea here is to create like a virtual hub where different companies can create their own districts and share communities, share experiences, create activations together inside this ecosystem. So Cupra is the brand leading this project, but there is also Primavera Pro, for example, which is a big music festival that takes place here in Barcelona and other cities of the world. The festival will also have its own district inside this island. And also Ubit, that's part of the Media Pro group, and it's a streaming service, an OTT service focused on e-game and esports. So, well, I'm going to share so you can see. You can see a video of the presentation.
double our sales network, and double our turnover.
And as you can see, well, we had a partnership with Ready Player Me, and they give us support in the creation of in the avatar creator part.
Very cool.
Great. I tried to create an avatar for the MetaHype. I was trying to create my avatar for the MetaHype.
Great.
Yes.
Great, yeah. We had also Cupra outfits and stuff for the, especially for the occasion.
Okay, maybe Robin, you want to explain some?
Yep, sure. So I don't have a fancy video like Jimena had, but I will try to also talk a little bit about what we've been working on in the last couple of months and where we headed. So I think really there is we need to look at the market overall from an ecosystem standpoint. We already have done a lot of immersive viewing experience where we have enriched whatever you're watching, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a soccer game, whatever you watch, with additional AR content that helps you to understand better, to have better visualization of data, for example, or create a new way of storytelling. So we've been working on that for the last 4 years, of course, with a very strong focus on mobile phones. With the announcements from Mobile World Congress, with what Qualcomm is building, and all the rumors, which knock on wood, might turn to reality for this year. I think it's very important to be ahead of the curve and to think about how does this user experience will look like when you're wearing some sort of XR headsets. So this is going to be one of the main areas for us to focus on this year. And besides that, we're going to work very intensely on the side of representation, and along with that, talking about NFTs as being part of an experience that you're doing. So these are the 2 areas where we are right now focusing on. I think it's very good to have always partners that can help you to build things. But it's I think a very exciting year for the entire ecosystem, to be honest.
Great, thank you, Robin. Andy, want to share some?
Sure. Well, for us, it's a little bit different because we're not so much project focused in what we do. However, I can definitely say that most of my partners and most of my clients are obviously very interested in what's going on with regards to the metaverse and what that means for their business. And I think we've been building prototypes around different scenarios and different use cases in that context, which I can't show. But what I can definitely also say is that we also have worked in recent times with a bunch of museums, actually, and COVID has, I think, accelerated that trend, that museums were very interested in creating digital experiences, whether that's augmented reality or also virtual reality. On the augmented reality side, it was a lot of exhibits, creating digital twins, creating 3D assets of exhibits that they normally would have inside of their museums, and then we would build these experiences for them so that people could see these things without actually going to the museum, but from their home. And also on the virtual reality side, actually building environments where you can visit, and this is more also prototypical most of the times so far. But there's definitely a trend. There's more interest, as I said earlier. More and more companies want to tap into this space and try things, and there's now budgets and funds coming and available that weren't available let's say 2 or 3 years ago. So that's great. Really good development. And I think that's what I can say from my side with regards to what's going on. A lot of web AR, I think, is also happening these days because the technology is getting better. Web XR is developing. Apple's still not really supporting it, but there's a good chance. There's some indication that that's going to change soon. So a lot of interest in that, because obviously with web AR you don't have the hurdle of having to download an app or anything like that, so you can just hop on. There's no huge barriers. So definitely a trend on that end for us, and we've very much specialized on that recently, I must say. But anyway, so those are just some examples that we deal with.
Okay, so these are very good ideas for developing this new concept of the metaverse, in itself. The access to the culture, the access to the museums, the access, of course, an opportunity for business. That's what we were discussing today, about business opportunities, thanks to this technology and thanks to this concept more than a technology. It's a concept supported by technology, Okay, then thank you very much all for your contribution. We and all the attendants probably really appreciate all your points of view and all your huge efforts you do in this direction. And that's it. So you are invited to come again next time, and that's all for today. If you want to say something else.
No, thank you very much, Isidro, for having us, for hosting this session, and for inviting us. This has been good fun, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you so much,
likewise.
guys. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.